So the next part of this exercise, after we have the form done on the Pell, is actually the movement portion of this exercise. We started using a lot of pads. These are just standard kickboxing pads, punching pads that you would see in boxing. We started using these for our sword work. We do it, they hold up okay. There's probably better ways to get these done, but with the foam swords, they hold up pretty well. So in this exercise, we're going to have Saib walk at me and then walk away while she's throwing these shots. The first shot, she's going to throw the high break, and we're going to show that how this exercise works. Ready? And good. And back. And forward. And stop. Good. So that's the first part of this. The next piece would be to walk side to side and track your opponent while he's moving and stay in front of them and still be able to throw the shot while you're in stride. That way first. And back. Good. And back. And stop. Good. So in this case, we did essentially a cross pattern here. The next piece of this would be actually we work into the 45s inside that cross as well. I'm going to show you basically one of the 45s, and then we'll talk about the second. Ready? And stop. So that was the one. So you would add the second piece. This exercise can be done, and we could change the speed of it. So not only does your partner have to understand they need to find this pace at which they throw that blow. In other words, where their feet are, what hip to turn at the right time, because we don't practice this actually very much. And not only that, but they have to watch that distance or between each other and change the pace. And I'm going to show you the pace change here. We're going to start out slow. Speed it up. And back. Stop. So by adding those types of changes into that exercise, what happens is we're learning a number of things. We're learning to pay attention to that distance between your opponent. We're learning where to throw in your steps and how your feet are. You'd be very surprised that we don't actually practice this often anywhere else that I've even before this, probably for us here locally before the last year or so, I've been practicing it a lot more with Saib, mostly because we're building. This is a building block exercise. We start from our Pell and we practice all that movement, all that striking in perfect form on the Pell. And then we take the next step where we just do these motions back and forth. And the final step, we'll do an exercise like this. I'm going to leave a little small break. Ready? And now this is just going to be dynamic movement.
Fun.
Ready? And. So in that final exercise, what we're doing is a little bit more dynamic movement. In other words, you notice that I was changing up a lot of the feet in there, the angles that we were moving off on, back and forth. So this gets us really close to what we're doing in a fight. And that's the biggest part. So we went from really focused technique to focusing on technique and movement and throwing inside that, to making sure we can do it on all angles. So we're building that out. And then in the last piece, we're just leaving them with one shot, and we're working on dynamic movement. The best part about this, you notice, I don't need to be in armor. Your opponent can be in armor. Neither of you need to be in armor. You may add a shield to this, you may add armor just to make sure that everything works well, but this gives you the ability to set up all those building blocks to what you have at the end. A lot of people have that question about what's next after rappel. Well, this is one of those scenarios. In fact, as long as you have somebody else willing to work with you, that person doesn't even need to be a fighter to do this exercise. When you first start this slow. Tell your opponent, okay, we're gonna go back, I'm gonna go backwards. So, go. Okay, I'm gonna go forward. That way it's clearly communicated, they have a chance to make those changes. As they get better and better at this, then we can not have to worry about that. They're gonna understand that distance and what you're doing and read you as you're doing that. The last part of this is we essentially break up and we figure out when we're in that space where it's like, I feel very comfortable with what I'm doing with these 2 or 3 shots that you first work on. And as the shot becomes comfortable, we look at adding another shot in that may not be as comfortable as the others are. In other words, if you pick 2 and those 2 are both pretty comfortable, then move on to your next 2 shots and you set those up. And that's how we build this, the good dynamic throws. In this case, she's going to throw, we'll go, and her second shot is the offside arm, right?
Turn outside.
Good. So here we go. She's going to throw that offside arm, and I'm going to walk. Yeah. And then we're going to go backwards. There we go. Good. Good. And we go ahead and go through all of those exercises the same way again. So hopefully that helps you with the building blocks, learning all the pieces and building your fight practices better. This is really easy to work with people out of armor. It's a great opportunity if you don't have armor, loaner armor, for people to come in. It's also a good way to help people learn prior to hitting the field. Thank you.